everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nikki. Today's project is a really fast, simple, and fun one. We're going to be creating this crochet scarf and crochet hat for our wine bottle here. It's perfect for gifting, or if you just want to set it on top of your wine bottle for Christmas, Christmas Eve, even all the way through New Year. So it's super simple to make. What you're going to need is some number 4 worsted weight yarn. If you don't want your scarf and hat to be as bulky, you could go down to a medium number 3 or a lightweight number 3 yarn, and it would make it a little bit less bulky, but I like the bulkiness of the number 4 yarn. So this is the Crafter's Secret Big Idea from Hobby Lobby in the color red. And then I also used the Crafter's Secret Big Idea from Hobby Lobby in the color, I believe it was like Kelly green. You're going to need a button to stitch onto your scarf. We're going to need a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a pair of craft scissors for clipping those yarn tails. And you're going to need a yarn needle for weaving in your yarn ends here at the end. And that is it. So go ahead and grab all of your supplies that you're going to need for this fun little project, and we'll get started here in just a few minutes. So let's get started on this really cute wine bottle hat and scarf set that I think is going to look adorable on the table this year. So the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to chain 11. So let's create our slip stitch here. And we are just going to chain 11. All right, and so the very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into this first stitch right here, and we are going to place a double crochet in every stitch, or in every chain. So a double crochet, you're yarning over, going into this next stitch, yarning over, pulling through that chain. We've got our 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops again. So now we're going to double crochet in every stitch all the way across here. Sorry, you can hear the dog in the background. He is getting the cat, which stay tuned because I'm doing a video for a crochet Santa dog hat too. That should be up here in the next couple of days. It's really adorable. All right, so let's continue to double crochet. Coming up to the last 2 stitches here. Oops. We're going to double crochet in this very last chain here. And then we are going to chain 3, because that's going to count as our first double crochet, and we're going to turn our work. Now for rows 2 through the number of rows that you'll need in order for the length that you're going to be needing. So I'm not going to say a number of rows because it really is going to depend on how long you want your scarf to be on your wine bottle. You're just going to continue to double crochet in every stitch all the way to the end and chain 3 and then turn your work. I'm probably going to shoot for about, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 rows. And then I will come back and we'll get started on the fringe for the scarf and everything once I have decided how long I'm going to make my scarf for my wine bottle. So I'll see you guys back here in just a few minutes. Right. So I'm finished with my scarf, and I actually did about 30 rows. It fits perfect around the top of my wine bottle that I have here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to set this off to the side, and we're going to grab our contrasting color. And in this case, I'm using green, and we're going to cut 30 3-inch long pieces of yarn. So I just kind of lay them out, stretch them so they're similar in size. We can always adjust this afterwards, but we are going to need 30 of these. So go ahead and cut your 30 pieces of yarn, and then I'll meet you back when you are done with that, and we will get started on attaching these pieces of yarn to the bottom edges of our crochet scarf. So I have my 30 pieces of yarn. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my scarf here and we're going to do 5 groups of 3. So I'm going to take 3 pieces here and I'm going to go between these first 2 stitches here and grab this group of yarn. It's going to be a little harder because we're using a small crochet hook. And then I am going to pull half of this group, you can see that, all the way through. So I'm hanging on to 3 of these, pulling half of that through. And then what I like to do is I like to come and just tie my little 3 strands in a knot, just like that. And then I'm going to grab 3 more pieces of yarn and I'm going to come over here. We're just going to place these to where there's 5 groups here. So let's grab this, hold it kind of tight so you can get it through, and then pull. Then I'll just kind of even these out a little bit, and then I'm going to tie it in a knot. Here we are. Sorry, I got out of shot there for a second. Tie it in a knot. If you want to do it differently, you can loop it through if that's what you would like, but I'm just going to tie mine in a knot here. So let's grab 3 more. We're going to do 3 more sets. So this is our 3rd here, and we're just going to pull that through. Make sure it's somewhat even. Come around and tie that in a knot. Pull it nice and tight, and then we're going to do that for 2 more times. And if it's easier for you, you can grab a larger crochet hook to pull these through. Probably would make it easier to hold on to all of these groups of yarn here. Like this. Tie you in a knot, and then we've got one last little group that we're going to do over here on this very last section of stitches, right here. Pull that through. There we are. Now what we can do is we're going to straighten these out here, and we're going to just come along with our scissors and then just trim these edges, because they don't need to be quite that long. But if you like them to be longer, then feel free to go ahead and trim them or leave them longer. But I'm just going to trim mine off a little bit. So now we have the fringe for our scarf on the bottom. So we're going to come around and repeat it on this side over here. So go ahead and do this side. Again, remember that's 5 groups that you're going to have. And then once we're done with that, I'll meet you back. We'll figure out how we're going to twist our scarf and we'll get the button attached. I've attached all of my fringe. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of loop my scarf top piece over the bottom piece here and just kind of figure out where and how I want my scarf to look once it's attached. And I think what I'm going to do, let me see if I can, there we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have it kind of placed like this. And then I've got my button here, and I'm just going to place my button right here, and I'm going to stitch between both of these layers right here to hold that in place. So then that way, whenever you slip it over the top of your wine bottle, it doesn't come loose. So go ahead and get your button stitched in place right there, and then I'll meet you back in a few minutes whenever that is completed. So I have my button stitched onto my scarf, and we'll just get that put on our wine bottle when we're done. So what we're going to do next is we are going to grab our green yarn or whatever colors it is that you choose to use, and we're going to start working on the hat. So I have my green yarn here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my slip stitch here, and we're going to chain 20. So we're going to be working from the bottom up of this hat. So let's chain 20, 19 and 20. So we're going to come over here, and without twisting our chain, we are going to slip stitch to this very first chain right here. And then we are going to chain 3. And this is going to count as our very first double crochet. So now what we're going to do, let me zoom in a little. Now what we're going to do is we have our first double crochet, and so we're just going to double crochet in every stitch or every chain all the way around. So go ahead and continue placing your double crochet in every chain all the way around, making sure you work over this yarn tail here, so that way it's one less yarn tail for you to weave in. And then I will meet you back when we are done with round 1 of this crochet hat. Round 1, and I slip stitched to the top of that chain 3 at the beginning there, and then I chained 3 again. At the end of round 1, I had 20 double crochet. So what we're going to do for this round is we're going to work double crochets and front post double crochets. So this chain 3 right here counts as your first double crochet. We're going to yarn over and go behind this first stitch right here. So this stitch is sitting on top of your crochet hook. So we're creating our front post double crochet. We're going to yarn over and pull our yarn through behind that first double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. That completed our first front post double crochet. Now we're going to go into this very next stitch right here, and we're going to place 1 double crochet. The next stitch, we're going to go around the post again and pull up our loop and then create our double crochet for our front post double crochet. We're going to repeat this all the way around until we get back to the beginning. When we get back to the beginning, we are going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 3, and then we are going to switch to our red color or whatever contrasting color it is that you're using. So go ahead and finish that, and then I will meet you back when we are done with round two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my red yarn here. And then I'm going to clip my green yarn. And then I like to do just kind of like a quick little knot right here. And then I'll crochet over the top of these yarn tails right here. So then that way they're nice and secure. So what I'm going to do next for round 3 is we are going to place a double crochet in each stitch all the way around. So we're chaining 3, so there's 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to go into the next stitch because this chain 3 is going to count as our double crochet. We're going into our next stitch. Make sure you crochet over the top of that red and green yarn here. And we're placing our double crochet. And we're going to place a double crochet in every stitch all the way around the top of this little crochet hat. So this little crochet hat, when we're done, would be really cute to make up a whole bunch of them. And then you could create like a little crochet hat garland and hang it from windows or down like a banister for your stairs or something like that. And they're going to be really adorable. But for today, we're just creating the little topper for our wine bottle. So go ahead and keep double crocheting all the way around, and I'll meet you back here in a few minutes when we are done with round 3. Slip stitched to the top of my chain 3 there, and I'm going to chain 3 again. Now we're going to start round 4 here. And what we're going to do for round 4 is we're just going to repeat that. We're going to place 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. This is going to be our last round of just regular double crochet. The next few rounds will be the decrease that we're going to do to start creating the point of this crochet hat here. So continue double crocheting all the way around until you get back to the beginning. At the beginning over here, you're going to slip stitch to the top of your chain 3, and then you're going to chain 3 again. So continue doing that, and I'll meet you back here when we're done with round 4. Moving on to round 5. So I have my first double crochet right here, which is my chain 3. What we're going to do next is we're going to double crochet these 2 stitches right here together. So in order to do that, we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that very first stitch. We're going to draw up a loop. We're going to yarn over and go through 2 of those loops. Instead of yarning over and coming through these last 2 loops, we're going to yarn over and go into this next stitch here. We're yarning over, drawing up our loop. Now we can yarn over and draw through all 3 of our loops. And that double crocheted these 2 stitches together right here. So the very next stitch, we're going to place 1 double crochet. Then we're going to double crochet these next 2 stitches together. So again, yarning over and inserting our hook and drawing up our loop. Yarning over and going through 2 of those loops. Now we're going to yarn over and go into the very next stitch here. We're going to draw up our loop, yarn over and go through 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and go through all the remaining loops on our hook. We're going to repeat that all the way around. When you come back to the very beginning, you are going to slip stitch to that chain 3, and you are going to chain 3 again. Now for round 6, we're chaining 3, and we're going to repeat that. So we've got our double crochet, and now we're going to double crochet these first 2 stitches here together. And we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And as you can see, the hat is starting to get smaller up here towards the top. And so we're just going to repeat this all the way around here. And then we place our double crochet. So finish that off, slip stitch to the top of your chain 3, and then we are going to chain 1 for round 6. So finish this, slip stitch to your chain 3, and then chain 1. For round 7, what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet these first 2 stitches together. So our chain 1 is not going to count for this round. So we're going back into that chain 1 space and just pulling up our loop. Then we're going immediately into that second stitch here and drawing up our loop. And then we're coming through all 3 loops. Then the very next stitch, we are going to place a double crochet. And then the next 2 stitches, we're going to single crochet those 2 together. And this is the point where it starts to get a little bit harder because your hat's getting a lot smaller. And then now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So finish that off, and then you are going to slip stitch to the top of your chain 3, and you're going to chain 1 again. If it's a little hard for you to do this, after this round, you can go ahead and close off the top of your hat before we start on the bobble, but I'm going to do 1 more row of the single crochet, double crochet, and then I'll fasten off. So what I'm doing for round 8 is I am single crocheting these first 2 stitches together, just like I did for the very last round. And then I'm placing a double crochet in the next stitch. You'll only have a few of these to do. And then when you come back to the end here, you're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet, and then weave your yarn all the way around through and close off the top of this hat. So this is single crochet, and then we've got our last double crochet right here. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of this first single crochet right here. And as you can see, it is really tiny. So I'm going to leave a tail long enough for me to just go around. So let's get this threaded on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going to go around the top of this hat, just pulling it tight. This is just going to close off that very top portion there. You can see that. If I get out of shot, I'm sorry. And so now you can see that this top portion of the hat right here is completely closed. So I'm just going to kind of weave my yarn through here. And then fasten that off. So now we've got our little hat done. So let's, we're going to grab our green yarn next and create our bobble. So go ahead and grab your green yarn and then I'll meet you back and we'll get started on the little bobble for the top of the hat here. If you don't want to put a bobble, you don't have to. You can leave it just like this. It would look just as cute. But I think the little top bobble, the little pom-pom on the very top of the hat would be really cute. Right, so I have my green yarn. So I'm going to create my slip stitch here. And I'm going to chain 7. 6 and 7. Now for row 1, I am going to single crochet in each chain all the way across here. 5, and then there's going to be 6 single crochet because we skipped that very first. And then there's 6. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now for rows 2 through 5, we're just going to repeat that, placing 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space here, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way to the very end, chaining 1 and turning our work. So I will meet you back here when you are done with row 5. End of row 5 here. So I'm going to fasten off, but I'm going to leave a yarn tail pretty long because I'm going to show you how we're going to create this bobble here.